What's up guys, it's Chris here. I've received quite a few comments asking about the books that I have here in the background, and specifically which ones I would recommend for people to read. So my passion for business and investing started when I was 15 years old, when I got given a business book by my dad. I remember reading that thing cover to cover, and then I started right from the beginning again and read it multiple times. That one book started me on a journey of pursuing business and investing that has lasted my entire life, and I like to think has set me on a path towards financial freedom and having more choices in life. And now, 17 years later, wow, that's crazy to say, am I that old? 17 years later, I still have that book, and I have read another 43 books on business and investing, but there are 5 books that literally changed my life and set the stage for everything I've done and will still do. And I can say with certainty that if I hadn't read these 5, in one way or another, I would not be where I am today. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the 5 most important business and investing books I have ever read, what you can expect from them. But not only that, at the end of the video, I'll show you every book that I have on this shelf, and I'm going to show you how you can get one of my top 5 business books absolutely for free and start reading it today. Just don't tell anyone. Let's get started. One of the most important things I learned in life is that your brain is like a garden. It will only grow with what you give it. You have to give it the right seeds, fertile soil, sunlight and water. And for me, that has always been books, articles and videos about the things that take my mind in the direction I want it to go. I plant the right seeds and I keep it growing by continually feeding and watering it with 2 things: inspiration and information. You need the inspiration to know that anything is possible and to read the stories of people who have done it before you in order to know that you can do it yourself. And that gives you your why. And then there is information, which will give you your how. The information is about how people do the things you want to do, so that you know in detail exactly how you can implement your goals and take the steps you need to take. That's why in today's video, I'm going to go through the most important books that gave me the inspiration and the information to grow in business and investing. And we're going to start off with what started it all for me. But be sure to stay around until the end of the video for the last most important book and how you can get one of these books right now for free. Number 1, remember that story of when I was 15 about how one book changed my life, making me obsessed with the world of business? Well, that is essentially what we do as investors. We obsess over the world of business and what companies we want to invest in and which industries and businesses will grow our money the best. Without business, investing doesn't exist. Well, that book, like I said, is right here with me 17 years later, and it is Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson. And in case you're wondering, this is a book about inspiration, not information. Like, it's not an instructional book about how to, never mind. But I'm sure you will all know the Virgin Group, like Virgin Active or Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Records, Virgin Mobile, Virgin Money, Virgin Media, and a host of others. And this book is the story of its founder, Richard Branson. This book takes you through the story of Richard, written himself, about how he dropped out of school at just 15 years old, and his headmaster told him he'd either end up in prison or a millionaire. It tells of how he started Virgin Records, which began as a mail order record company, but eventually went on to sign artists like Janet Jackson, the Sex Pistols, and eventually the Rolling Stones, Phil Collins, and the Spice Girls. He went on to sell the label for $1 billion. And as we all know, since then, the Virgin Group went on to take over the world with its airlines, gym networks, and other companies, leaving Richard Branson with a net worth of around $3 billion, his own private island called Necker Island. And as we know, he was the first person to successfully launch a commercial spaceflight company and went into space himself on the first launch. For me, seeing someone with dyslexia who dropped out of school at 15 years old and who was, by his own words, a hippie, go on to build a network of worldwide companies, become a billionaire, and own his own private island, it was something that sparked a flame in me, and to think that if he can do it, why not me? And although I don't have my private island yet, I guess since then, the inspiration from this book has always made me work towards it. So personally, in terms of inspiration, this has been the most influential book of my life. Number 2, after a bit of inspiration, let's get a bit of information, basically on how to go about being successful in property investing in South Africa. The next book is called, very simply, Making Money Out of Property in South Africa by Jason Lee. If you don't know, property and property investing is a passion of mine. I've gone on in my life to study property investment and development at 3 different universities. I've worked in the industry over 10 years, at times working on JSE listed property funds and being part of building some of the iconic buildings in Sandton that you'll probably know. But before all of that, this book was something that started it all. This book takes you through all of the methods and strategies and ways in which you can invest in property to make money, and it goes into details and calculations and numbers, as well as examples of Jason Lee's own properties that he uses to show you some real-world information so that you can see that it's not just theory and that it can be done in the real world. It even goes down into some of the details about tax implications of different types of property deals and how it affects your income tax or capital gains tax. I remember specifically when I was 19 or 20, reading this book in a corridor with some friends around, and one of their parents came over to me and commented about how strange it was that I was reading a book like this at such a young age. But as you might know from the channel, just a couple years later at 22, I used some of the information from this book to go on and buy my first investment property, which I was able to then flip and make 172,000 Rand profit. So, who's laughing now, Jeremy? But seriously, if you want a great informational book about how to make money out of property in South Africa, I can definitely recommend this one. Number 3 is a book called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Why exactly am I talking about a book called Shoe Dog? Well, it is the story of one of the 10 most valuable brands in the world, Nike, and its billionaire founder, Phil Knight. This book I read just last year at the recommendation of the Finance Ghost, which I thanked him for, but it is honestly the second best business biography book I have ever read. These days I mostly read books in digital versions, so I have this on PDF. But you have all heard the story, right? About how the founder of Nike would make the soles of his shoes with a waffle iron and then sell the shoes out of the back of his boots at running events. Well, after reading the book, I can tell you that the story is actually quite true. Now, there is a huge other part to the story, including his coach, companies in Japan, lawsuits, the original name of the company Blue Ribbon, and strangely a lot of tigers. But how can you possibly not be inspired by a story of a kid selling shoes he made with a waffle iron from the boot of his car that goes on to build probably the most iconic brand of our time and a current net worth of $41 billion? So if you have a business right now in whatever form, even if you are just selling stuff from home, just imagine what that business could become one day, and this book might just inspire you to get there. Number 4, right before we get to the most important investing information book I have ever read after this, and trust me, you will know who it is and you don't want to miss it. But number 4, I'm a bit hesitant to mention for a couple of reasons, but I have to be honest on how it influenced me. And that book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, I'm hesitant to mention it for 2 reasons. The first is I feel it's a bit overdone. I feel like everyone and their friend has mentioned this book at one point or another, so I'm not telling you anything new. And the second reason is that from what I see online, it seems like Robert Kiyosaki has gone a bit off of his hinges these days. But nevertheless, this was the first book I read about money management and investing. Some of you watching may have already read it, and you will know that it's a bit of a fallacy and a bit of reality. Apparently, there has never been any evidence linking Robert to the rich dad character that he created, but it's not really about that. The book is about teaching the simple basics of money management and investment and paying yourself first in order to grow your wealth and passive income. Now, with that said, there are some controversial topics in the book that many finance people don't agree with, such as his views on schooling and debt and a few other things. However, for me, This was the start that got my cogs turning. It got me to start thinking about money in different ways and about how money could actually work for you to build a better life. To this day, I always think of each rand, dollar, or pound in my account as a literal employee that I'm sending out to work when I invest it, and he is working hard to bring me the best return as opposed to me working for it. So read this one with a pinch of salt, but if you're looking for a book to lay out some basics of money management and the world of investing and to start thinking differently about how money can build things for you, then this book did that for me. Number 5. Now earlier I said that Richard Branson's book started me on the path of loving business, and this book here started my love for the world of investing. Wait, do I have a drumroll sound effect? Yeah, that's it. And that book, obviously, is The Snowball, the biography of Warren Buffett, written by Alice Schroeder. Now, when I read this, I was into digital books, and I found this for free as a PDF, and worth every penny. I don't need to tell anyone watching this video because we all know who Warren Buffett is, the Oracle of Omaha, and the investor who came from an ordinary background to become literally the richest person on the entire planet, through his method of investing in the stock market and companies and holding them until there was no single person, alive or dead, who had amassed more wealth than him. So yes, of course there is an element of inspiration here, but more than that, after 6 years of Alice interviewing and speaking with Warren Buffett, she was able to put together, in quite explicit detail, exactly how he went about building his fortune by going down into the dollars. She's able to tell us what he studied in the pink sheets, what companies he was looking at and why, how he came up with his investment philosophy of buying into cigar butts, as he called them, and over the years how he built up his initial fund by taking on clients to invest into his company that we all now know today as Berkshire Hathaway, and over his 70-year career, how he lived a frugal life, invested with his own philosophy, and held his investments. It takes you through his very first investment at 11 years old of 3 shares of City's Service for a total of $124, all the way through to today where his company has a total market value of $850 billion, and the book covered all of the most important deals and investments along the way, why he made them, and how they turned out. And in casual cash style, a lot of them go into the dollars and cents and quite a bit of detail. In my personal opinion, there is no better book on investing out there. It will fill your tanks of both information and inspiration, and if you can get through the huge 976 pages, I promise you will be a better investor on the other side. And guys, that is it for my 5 best and most influential books on business and investing that have personally shaped my life, and as I said, I wouldn't be here today without them. Now, as I promised, I'm going to help you guys to get one of these books absolutely free. And it could be any of these books. At all. Any one of them. Could be anything. I know how much this book shaped my life and my investing journey, and I hope it does the same for you. So I have already put it up on the Casual Cash Club, and as you know, there is a 7-day free trial period. Now, if you like the Casual Cash Club and want to continue as a member, it's only $3 or around 50 Rand. But if you just want to download the book, you can use the free 7 days and not continue. And lastly, to fulfill my promise, here is all of the books I have on the shelf behind me in all of my videos. You can pause the screen and take a look through them if you want. But guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed and liked the video, and if you want to see more videos on business and investing, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It's starting to rain, so I'm gonna get going, but until then, I will see you next time, as always, on Casual Cash. Cheers.